Hello and welcome to Default Assault, where we take on everything by default. I am your host, Demosthenes, and with me, as always, is Mr. Kyle Nash. How's it going?
Good evening, Demos, and I'm proud to tell you, you will not have to wait an hour to get into this great, big, beautiful tomorrow with us here tonight on Default Assault. It's coming at you right now.
Oh, I appreciate the pun. Well, speaking of great, big, beautiful tomorrows, we are going to be talking about Disney rides, or more specifically, Disney movies that should have been rides. Now, we've seen quite a few big popular rides, such as Peter Pan's Flight, or the Alice in Wonderland Teacups, or the ride over in Disneyland, which you have to ride. It is almost as great as Peter Pan's Flight. It's a shame that Disney World doesn't have it. Get on your game, Disney World. Anyway. So there are a lot of movies that Kyle and I have enjoyed. Disney movies from our youth, Disney movies from today that we feel should be represented in the parks, and not just some dumb little show or little Dumbo-style spinner. We're talking big, massive e-ticket ride. Maybe the ticket, but anyway. There are a lot of great Disney movies that just would not translate into a good ride. Let's just face it. Nobody's going to go on Old Yeller the ride. I don't even want to imagine what Old Yeller the ride is. And if anybody's...
I would have a more controversial ending than Toad's Wild Ride, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right? Especially if it was interactive, like the Buzz Lightyear ride.
Boo!
And you know what? As much as I think that Bambi is probably one of Disney's greatest achievements, we already pretty much have a Bambi ride. It's the Frontierland Shooting Arcade. We're fine.
Boo! Boo!
But we thought today we'll share 6 of our thoughts, 3 from me and 3 from Kyle. And Kyle, let's start with you. I'm interested in your Disney movie that should have been a ride.
Well, I'll tell you what. I start with this one first because I got to give Disney a little bit of slack. This is one that's certainly a newer title, and my target in particular, when I'm looking at these particular items I'm putting on the table here, these are things that Disney has screwed up on, period. These things should already exist. There's one of your examples here that we're going to get into later that actually exemplifies a dismal and awful failure on the part of Disney. However, in this instance, if Disney isn't working on it, get your epic fail hashtags ready. And of course, I am talking about Disney's Hawaiian epic, Moana. Is it fair to call it Hawaiian or we'll go Polynesian? How about that?
Polynesian, I think it would be appropriate.
So do I, yeah. And there's so many opportunities for things that whiz and move about in such graceful and swift fashion with breathtaking backdrops and scenes that would be fantastic. Whether you are being aided by the sea as the chosen one and battling Tafiti with the heart, or you're flying about on the back of a giant effing hawk doing the same thing, taking on Taka, going out around the seas of the Pacific. There's so much there. Again, breathtaking scenery, great action that can be in there. You could do it via... There's so many ways you could do it. You can make it a roller coaster.
So what you're telling me, Kyle, is that you really like this movie.
Oh, no, dude, the movie is fantastic. Hell, if you haven't yet, well, you've already flashed pictures of me wearing the Moana costume in a previous episode. So damn it. I mean, if that doesn't tell you enough, mostly it was my daughter, digging it like a shovel. And what can I say? In a different twist and turn, I am The Rock. At least that's what I tell myself. But no, but seriously, no, I found this movie was very good. I like the message in it. Family's important, but explore and find yourself too, all that kind of stuff. And the possibility for a ride being something pretty damn epic leaves a lot of possibility.
Well, I can tell you this much. The rumor mill says that there is going to be a Moana ride coming. They're saying that it might be in Adventureland, and they're saying that the rumor is that it actually might be a roller coaster. I would definitely say, in agreement, Moana would probably make for an incredible ride. My next choice, on the other hand, I am shocked beyond belief that it isn't a ride yet. Well, To a degree, there is kind of a ride. There's a Dumbo spinner, Aladdin's Magic Carpets, and how they haven't made a good Aladdin ride yet just boggles my mind. Come on, can you just imagine riding the magic carpet through the Cave of Wonders? That one scene alone would make for one of the coolest roller coasters you can imagine. Aladdin was a huge film at the time, and it still generates a lot of revenue. And who knows, maybe with Guy Ritchie's upcoming live-action remake, it might get some more box office clout to do it. All I can say is if they do it, they should probably stick with the original animated film version. But yeah, I know in Tokyo, they have an Aladdin section of their park, an Aladdin walkthrough diorama that's pretty cool. But the fact that we still haven't gotten a full-fledged Aladdin ride, what are you waiting for, Disney? Come on.
Yeah, listen, man. If there would have been a day, it may be the wrong movie, but when I saw that, when I see something about the Cave of Wonders, all I could think is be prepared. Wrong. That's the Lion King.
We'll be prepared. For what?
For the death of the king.
Why, is he sick?
Damn it. No, but listen, the closest thing they had to a magic carpet experience was a Disney Quest. You can actually get into some VR goggles and fly a magic carpet. It was pretty damn amazing. I can only imagine what actual reality would bring us here in this case. So,
and that originated in Epcot as part of Innovations before it went to Disney Quest.
Correct.
What do you think, though, for Adventureland, if you had to choose between an Aladdin coaster and a Moana coaster, which would you go for?
Listen, in my opinion, I think Adventureland overall is in need of a slight overhaul, to say the least. I feel like both could actually coexist and do well. If I needed one more than the other, listen, as much as I'm personally tied to Moana, and I would personally enjoy that experience a little bit more because, you know, reasons, I feel like the success at the park, you would be compelled to have an Aladdin ride. The one caveat I give is this, and actually, if we do this in 2 or 3 years, if we did this episode rather 2 or 3 years from now, where we had already experienced the likely fail, air quotes, likely fail. I'm on video, I can do that. Of the live action Aladdin, I would stray from it as possible because as much as I enjoy Will Smith on the big screen, there is no way that anybody of our age bracket could get onto that ride and be happy not hearing the voice of the late, great Robin Williams in it. Listen, I got to tell you what, this one took me a bit of thought. I was all but out of ideas, desperate to go to something that was a box office bomb that I knew for a fact would never happen. No one is going to care about Treasure Planet, the ride. They're just not. No one's going to care about Black Hole, the Black Hole Simulator or Laser Shooter. They're just not. They should, they won't. However, when I came down to it, I was compelled to pick The Incredibles. Demos, this thing was an amazing superhero movie before we were anything close to anybody trying to do a CU. Listen, to make a look, the Hulk roller coaster that they have at Universal is very simple. But it was going to be anyway. Like you could have Jigglypuff from Pokemon be the theme of the ride, and the roller coaster is still going to be okay. No idea why I went Jigglypuff there, but you get.
Well, that would be the most badass name for that ride ever. If Universal, if you lose the rights to Marvel Land, go for Jigglypuff.
Life is hilarious by default, and that would just be one great example of that happen. I'm just saying. Anyway,
hell yeah.
Damn it, now I want it bad. Anyway. Listen, when it comes to The Incredibles, you already have the superhero tie-in and all these other parks, and then it gets awkward with Marvel and the way Disney owes and all that. Hey, throw it out the damn window. precede all of it by getting something as kid-friendly and badass as The Incredibles, my friends. That has potential written all flipping over it. Each one of the characters could have a particular part of the ride that are very uniquely, very unique, and yet create a lot of motion and the opportunity for something really cool. I don't know that this works necessarily as a roller coaster, but it's definitely something where you have like an indoor ride kind of a setting, or definitely a simulator type of thing. And
or the monorail from the movie.
I mean, right. That could be the cart, but like you have all these opportunities for all these different movements. I don't know simple as the way you want to go. You could be catapulted by Elastigirl. You could be flung across the sky, or part of the workout routine of Mr. Incredible himself. You can be thrown about and rolling inside of some sort of a force field made by Violet and Flash. Dude, that writes itself. And hey, let's get some Sam J in there. How about jumping all over the place with Frozone? And oh, by the way, you can sense the irony through the goddamn speakers. It's Nick Fury that's going icy on that ass. I can't believe this hasn't been done yet.
I'm going to top you. I find it incredible, haha, that out of all the Pixar films, okay, so obviously Toy Story has multiple rides. Yeah, Bug's Life has an entire land over in California and a 3D show. Finding Nemo has a couple of rides. Ratatouille, Cars, all these other Monsters Inc., all these other Pixar properties have rides, and yet not The Incredibles. I mean, I'm with you. It's yelling, it's calling out for it. Maybe with the sequel coming up, it might galvanize some support for a ride. And I wouldn't be shocked if they decided to add it as a Tomorrowland ride, because guess what? Tomorrowland is in desperate need of some new rides. And of all the parks in Florida, that's the one that needs some new blood in it.
That's where I put it. And because let me tell you, my initial answer, if you remember in our production meeting, listen, Disney needs something space, okay? Because while the whole Stitch thing that they did was not what it, I mean, it was good for kids. I didn't think it was great. You do it once and you're done with it. You could move on.
Stitch's Great Escape, like the worst ride ever made. I still have the freaking chili breath stuck in the back of my nostrils. That was such a disgusting ride.
Well, okay. Thank you for telling us exactly how you feel, Demos. But the punchline is, look, folks, Buzz Lightyear, as the shooter ride is really the best thing you got. That's a space adventure in a place, in a section of the park known as Tomorrowland, where the feature bleeping ride is Space Mountain. How do you have not more space stuff in there? I can't, Demos, I can't even talk. Cast a spell. Say Higgins, motherfucker, so I can talk right again. I can't stand this.
But hey, you're forgetting about everybody's favorite ride. I mean, the ride that just inspires you beyond belief and gives you hope for tomorrow. And that's the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover.
Leave the wet People Mover alone.
I want to see a People Mover movie. Why haven't we seen this yet? Well,
give them ideas.
There is some hope. Apparently, they are bringing the Tron ride from Shanghai. Apparently, they're going to be bringing it to Tomorrowland soon for the 50th anniversary. That is a step in the right direction. I just hope it's not 45 seconds long.
Am I the one that feels like a Tron ride should be more kind of a bigger, more thought out expansion of innovations in Epcot? I feel like that should be covered with simulations and like I should be able to be in one of the tanks. I should be able to be in a light cycle. I should be able to play in that disc game. I should be able to do all of that in a Tron experience.
So remember earlier you said don't give them ideas? Let's reverse that. Let's give them some ideas.
Can I say except... See, it's relevant now because I mentioned the ride earlier. You're welcome.
Son of a bitch. My next choice is more classic mode. And this is a ride that I know that they've been talking about doing in various different forms since the 1960s, and that's Walt Disney's magnum opus, Mary Poppins. How have we not seen a Mary Poppins ride? Hell, I'm actually even shocked that the freaking carousel isn't themed after Mary Poppins. Not only was it one of the most successful films in Disney's career, and we're getting an upcoming sequel. I have mixed feelings about that. I think the only ray of hope for me is that Dick Van Dyke is back and he's going to be dancing. That's always a plus. But Mary Poppins, I mean, hell, it doesn't have to be in the Magic Kingdom. Imagine if you put a Mary Poppins ride in Epcot's UK pavilion. Now, I'm not a big believer in having IP rides in Epcot. I do prefer that park to be its own thing. But if you're gonna put an IP in the UK pavilion, this has got to be it. You could be riding one of the carousel horses through the different scenes. Imagine riding that little horse through the Step in Time scene with fireworks going off all around you. You can make it a 3D ride where the effects actually pop out while you're riding through different show scenes. Imagine plunging in through the chalk drawing on the pavement and going into the Jolly Holiday world of Mary Poppins. Holy crap. There's so much possibility, magic, and fantastic music with that ride, and it should be a family ride. I think that we need more true family rides in Disney, but make them spectacular. Don't save your spectacular show scenes for the roller coasters. Do something incredible again for the whole family. That's what Disney has always been about.
First of all, let me be clear. The only angle as the cart, air quotes, for this ride is exactly like you said, the carousel of horses. If they do anything else, they're wrong, and they should just shut down the whole goddamn ride, period.
The only other thing I can think of them possibly doing is you riding at the bottom of an umbrella or something like that. But no, carousel horse. Do the freaking carousel horse. Are you kidding me? The carousel horse.
And again, I mean, my first thought went to the umbrella too, but that doesn't seem super practical.
That seems silly beyond belief. And they had, I mean, at least the Great Movie Ride had a little Mary Poppins section. Yes, it was about 10 seconds long, but at least there was something. Now that's going to be gone, so, or that's gone already.
All that being said, if this is something that, if done right, will be there for another 5 decades. I'm in a place where that's something that can just as easily whiff if they half-ass it. Because if they try to make it over technical, if they try to make it like Soarin', except with an umbrella, that's a bad plan. This needs to be, to your point, a family ride, I agree, but the spectacular needs to, immersion has to be the key here. And however you pull that off, listen, that's your problem. You're the Imagineers, you know. But that's an opportunity. I can't tell you it's as much of a lock as, let's say, The Incredibles, or certainly if we're talking about, you know, scenic places. You know, when I think of scenic locale, I think urban London. No, but that being said,
but Cherry Tree Lane is just anyway.
My final pick is something I am one of the people who have very harshly lamented the fact that Toad's Wild Ride went the way of the dodo. I was not happy about that at all.
It does still survive in Disneyland, FYI.
Wait, that does mean nothing. Shut up, Demos. Anyway, damn Disney nerd.
This is where I should point out that you live in Orlando.
I know, exactly, right? Listen, if I'm going to take a cross-country trip, I got to find a way to fit it in against around a 49er game, I guess. Anyways, we can still keep the ride dark, and no one can complain about political correctness if you introduce the skeleton and king himself, Jack, and his motley crew surrounding the Nightmare Before Christmas. Man, listen, I got to tell you, don't dance around anything else. I don't want to see a roller coaster. I don't want to see any sort of electronic simulation. The Star Wars thing is right out. This is purely animatronic, and it would be damn gold. And though it would get dark in particular places, it'll still be good for the kids. It'd be that kind of thing that, like, some kids might get scared by it, but hey, let me be honest with you. My now 4-year-old, then 2-year-old was scared out of her flipping mind the first time she came across Ursula and her eels. Okay, so this would be no worse than that, in my opinion.
Oh, that movie took some dark turns. I mean, hell, Ursula got impaled at the end. That was kind of creepy stuff at the end of Little Mermaid.
Poor unfortunate soul. Hey, do I have the right movie this time? Anyways, so
congratulations.
No, but hey, shut up. That is no worse than some of the jokes you had earlier. I want to hear it. But listen, the possibility there is all over the place. Again, you could even branch it out further. It's already the Nightmare Before Christmas. Maybe he expands into some of the other holidays. Not to mention an added bonus from the corporate level. I already discussed my feeling in a required reading episode. The sales aspect around that too, with some of the themed gifts and stuff that you could get there, can fit both Halloween and Christmas. What can I say except for you're welcome there, corporate types? So that's an added bonus from that standpoint. Listen, that ride is going to be something essential. It could be built to be a center point of the park during the not so scary Halloween party, and could even be heavily involved in the Very Merry Christmas party as well. It could be kind of a linchpin to those two places. And oh, by the way, something else that could lift something up on its feet a little bit. I'm not sure what park you'd put in it exactly. It would probably have to be the Magic Kingdom because the other big time events that I mentioned earlier. But I don't know. Maybe a Frontierland thought is appropriate here? Question mark.
Really? Old West?
Sure.
Well, I'll tell you this much. For a little while, the rumor was that they were going to actually add a Nightmare Before Christmas ride over in studios. Now that's dead and gone as far as I know. But to uphold your point, in Disneyland every year they have a Haunted Mansion overlay that lasts a few months, where they basically transform the Haunted Mansion into a Nightmare Before Christmas ride. Very, very popular, actually very well done. The unfortunate aspect of this, for me, in my opinion, has always been they do this over Halloween. So think about this. You cannot ride Disney's The Haunted Mansion during Halloween because it is a different ride altogether.
That is pretty epic fail, my friend. That is an excellent point by you. It is slathered in BS, and I believe this would be an opportunity for them to clean up the bovine excrement in question.
And they have a lot of the infrastructure that they can apply to a new ride and actually make it its own thing. It's popular enough that it can be. Yeah, I love the idea you just said about going into the different holidays, actually exploring those different worlds. Bring Tim Burton back. Do something more creative. He's had connections with the studios for decades. He started at Disney as an animator for Black Cauldron and so forth. Frankenweenie, come on. It's a done deal. They should do it.
Yeah, hey, great point all the way around. Why take something away, especially from the international visitors, when you can have something in there to add and enhance? Writes itself, folks. That is Halloween. That is Halloween.
My final pick is an odd one, mostly because I want to give a shout out to a movie I really love. I know that at one point they were considering this. Now, this movie, I understand why they never made a ride based on it. Actually, they never ended up producing the ride based on it. Because it was kind of a box office bomb, because they decided to release it against freaking Terminator 2 and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was a 1-2 punch that this movie just could not survive, and that movie is The Rocketeer. I think that this would make an incredible ride. I'm talking about the idea of Peter Pan's flight on speed. I think that the Rocketeer would just make the idea of a flying type ride something quite incredible. You get the 1940s atmosphere around you. You can drop it right into old school Disney Hollywood studios. Between the theming and the property itself, which I think is very underappreciated, although it has developed a big cult following, I think that would make a tremendous experience.
God, I'm gonna be this guy. I don't see it.
No,
I don't see it. Let me lead with the positive first. The one great and fantastic thing you do have when it comes to the Rocketeer is having the front of that ride be overlaid with the Bulldog Cafe would be nothing short of goddamn fantastic. That is an automatic slight win in itself. However, listen, man, I haven't seen the movie. Perhaps I am not a proper authority to critique or comment here. It's not to say that they can only fail with it. If they find a way to use VR tech on that ride to where it's the opportunity for the most immersion possible in an experience, to like you sit down in the chair or whatever it is, and you know, like the chair is kind of shaped like the damn metal jetpack, and you got the VR technology on, which has taken leaps, of course, since, you know, it's not just 3D. Oh, put on your fancy glasses and dirt. No, you know, this is full immersion, right? If this is going to be successful, that is about the only way I could personally see it being worthwhile.
So you'd make the argument that it might make like a better kind of side ride in what was formerly Disney Quest.
Yes, that's a fantastic point by you. I feel like this is something that would be that has a place in innovations. But to your point, the property is all but forgotten for the most part. And again, listen, if you have the Rocketeer, you have to have the Bulldog Cafe. And if you are in that setup, the Bulldog Cafe is not a part of it. Ergo, it is a failed Rocketeer experience.
Come on. I mean, of course, it would be the appropriate one. And it's almost kind of a shame because back in the early days of Disney MGM Studios, they considered doing a Dick Tracy ride. That came very close. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? The Roger Rabbit cartoon spin that's in Disneyland, I believe, was originally intended for Disney MGM Studios. They were going to really make that the PG-13 Disney park.
I feel like I should have done Roger Rabbit now. Why'd you bring him up?
Well, they have a Roger Rabbit ride. It exists in Disneyland.
Phew, okay, I feel better.
And it's actually kind of crazy because if you've been on the Mad Tea Party Teacups, it's a dark ride in the vein of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, except you're spinning through it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I nearly broke, I feel bad because I nearly broke a dear friend's finger because I got a little too overzealous spinning on that ride. What do you guys think? What Disney movies do you think would make for excellent rides? Let us know in the comments below what you guys think of our thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at Default Hilarity, on Facebook Hilarity by Default, and HilarityByDefault.com for weekly movie reviews and other fun stuff. Kyle, where can we find you?
Hey, when you go ahead and you check out our episode and you fire a tweet at Demos, make sure you do it carefully. He might try to break your fingers again. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash. You'll find me on Twitter as the SOTG. Of course, on Facebook, I am the student of the game. And of course, coming up here real soon, I will be participating in bowl coverage for the University of Central Florida Knights. Ooh. So whether or not they win the Friday after Thanksgiving, depending on when this episode actually drops, no matter if they were successful the Friday after Thanksgiving or not, I will be going bowling, hopefully following the UCF Knights doing so. And when I do, you can find all that on ngscsports.com.
And this is Fingerbreaker reminding you that life is hilarious by default.
No, there is no Dick Tracy ride.
God damn it.